Welcome to this broadcast from the Natural Health Clinic. I'm Labron Allen, the founder of the Natural Health Clinic, and in just a moment I'm going to discuss 9 ways to increase testosterone, so please stay tuned. Welcome back and thanks for joining. Low testosterone is becoming extremely common, and it's not only just with men, it is also women as well. Yes, testosterone is also extremely important for women in all different aspects, including libido, which is, of course, sex drive. With men, it is the primary hormone that creates their muscle mass, their motivation, energy levels, etc. So it is of a little bit more importance, at least as that aspect as far as men are concerned, but again, it is important for both men and women. Now, the ways to improve testosterone levels are applying to both men and women, so just keep that in mind. And plus, as if that wasn't enough, these things that I'm about to share with you, these 9 ways to improve testosterone levels, also go a very long way in order to improve overall health. So even if you don't necessarily have lower testosterone, these specific ways of improving testosterone will also help to balance any type of hormonal situation that you may be experiencing. So the first suggestion is fasting, or especially intermittent fasting. It is good to have at minimum a 6-hour window of eating. So that means that you would have 3 meals between, let's say, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. I prefer the morning to early afternoon rather than the afternoon to early evening, just because of how the digestive system tends to respond throughout the day. An even better window is a 4-hour window. You may only have 2 meals during that period of time, but that is exceedingly helpful at increasing testosterone. In fact, there's one study that showed that men who practice intermittent fasting had an increase of testosterone levels by, just wait for it, 400%. So that is extremely significant. Now, you couple intermittent fasting with the second way of improving testosterone, and you're going to have extraordinary improvement, literally with just a few days or a few weeks. And that is heavy weightlifting. It can also be different forms of interval training as well, but most of the research has been in heavy weightlifting. It is best to do it a minimum of 3 days a week. Even 4 to 5 days is even better. And you want to exercise for at least 30 minutes at a time. 30 to 45 minutes up to an hour is best. So intermittent fasting, heavy weightlifting, very, very important, very, very effective at increasing testosterone levels. The third way is to increase your fat content. Now, I, of course, am referring to healthy fats. In fact, you want to avoid junk fats, trans fats, junk foods in general, especially things like alcohol. Many men enjoy beer, especially in this part of the country. And unfortunately, the different components of beer actually increase estrogen levels, which is exactly the opposite of what you want to have happening within your body when you're trying to improve your testosterone. It will tend to create a real problem. So avoid the junk food and at the same time increase the levels of healthy fats. Now, there are 3 main fats that I recommend that you increase as far as categories. The first one is saturated fats. In fact, I will say that most people are the most deficient in saturated fats simply because they've been told for the last 60, 70 or more years that you need to avoid these, especially for heart disease and other heart issues. So most, both men and women, are very deficient in healthy saturated fats. So what are some sources of healthy saturated fats? Well, number one is coconut oil. Many individuals can do very well with coconut oil. Some are sensitive to it, so do be aware of that. Other forms of healthy fats can be fermented dairy, especially goat and sheep dairy. So it could be like, for example, kefir, or goat yogurt, and the same for sheep as well. Stay away from cow. That tends to have so many hormones in it that it will have the opposite effect as far as improving testosterone levels, so be careful of that. Second category of fats is one I'm sure you've heard of, that is omega-3s. Fish oils are a very good way of getting healthy omega-3s. Cold water fish, of course, is best. And then finally, monounsaturated fats is the third category of fats that I highly recommend that you get as far as improving testosterone levels and really general health as well. So monounsaturated fats, that's going to occur in oils such as avocado oil. That's just one example. There's many others, but there are many good forms of monounsaturated fats. The next, really, it's a good segue into the first topic that I mentioned, or the first way of increasing testosterone, and that is intermittent fasting. One of the primary reasons that intermittent fasting has such a good effect at improving testosterone levels, and if you recall, I mentioned that it was up to 400% greater levels of testosterone just with intermittent fasting. And that is because of the wonderful effects that intermittent fasting and fasting in general has upon the liver. Liver health is especially important in sex hormone balance for both genders. It is even more important in women, but it is extremely important in men as far as balancing healthy testosterone levels. So number 4 is improve liver health. Now, what I mentioned earlier is one of the best ways of doing that, one of the easiest ways of doing that, and that is to avoid certain alcohols, that is to avoid all forms of junk food, and not only limit, but eliminate sugar, which of course is actually the 7th way that you can improve testosterone, which is to completely eliminate all forms of sugar, including what you would think of as good forms of sugar: honey, maple syrup, maybe turbinado, even coconut sugars. All of those I recommend that you just completely do away with, because those sugars will affect your hormonal balance regardless what hormone you are trying to balance or to improve. The 5th way is something that you probably already know, certainly have heard many times, and that is to lower stress levels. Now, there's many ways of doing that. I've talked about it ad nauseum in the past. I have several videos about it, so you can get good information from those videos. Just look on our video category or tab within the Facebook page, and you'll find many videos that I've done in the past as far as different methods and different ways of improving stress levels. But improving stress is exceptionally important, because when you have high levels of stress, that requires the body to utilize certain hormonal precursors that your body needs otherwise to improve the levels of testosterone. So the high stress levels is completely counter to your ability to improve your testosterone level, and again, any type of hormone that you're trying to improve. Now, if you're finding this information helpful, I ask you to do a favor, and that is to at least like the video as you're watching it, share it to friends and family, because this is now one of the only ways. I'm sure you're hearing all over the place. I think they're calling it cancel culture now, where if Facebook doesn't like something, it's just the end of it immediately. And it's not only Facebook, it's pretty much all social platforms. So it's very difficult to get the word out, to get good information out that social media platforms may not necessarily agree with. So I ask you to please do me a fantastic, huge favor, and that is to like and share the video if you're finding the information helpful. The 6th way is, again, one that you hear very frequently. In fact, the renowned, and I say that in heavy quotes and with sarcasm, Dr. Fossey just talked about this incredibly important nutrient. In fact, without it, you'll die. That's pretty important, otherwise known as essential. So that's vitamin D. So vitamin D, if you have low levels of vitamin D, it's going to be nearly impossible to improve your testosterone levels, and again, any hormone. So make sure that you're having adequate levels of vitamin D. If you cannot get out into the sunlight, which is bar none the best source, then you may want to consider a food-based form of vitamin D supplementation. The reason I say food-based is because if you just go kind of into a standard vitamin D capsule, it may be very difficult for your body to metabolize it. You have to have a very healthy gastrointestinal system, kidneys, and liver in order for your body to utilize most forms of vitamin D supplementation. And let me ask you, if you have a hormonal issue, do you think that you have very good gastrointestinal, liver, and kidney function? If you did, very likely you wouldn't be having any of those hormonal issues. So that's your answer. Number 7 I already covered, and that is eliminate sugar. All forms of sugar. All forms of sugar. You cannot name a form of sugar that you should not eliminate. All right? That also includes fruit, at least in the beginning for the first, let's say, 6 weeks, 2 months, maybe longer, depending on the situation that you're in. Eliminate sugar. And of course, fruit juices. That's just pure sugar. The next is obviously important for general health and not just testosterone improvement. Excuse me. And that is good sleep. That means good sleep without medication. So medication-free good sleep. If you cannot have medication-free good sleep, that indicates that there may be underlying health problems that need to be identified, in which case you can always make an appointment. We can do an initial consultation and ascertain what those may be, because very frequently the very things that are causing the sleep issues are also causing the hormonal issues. Typically there aren't separate things going on within the body and separate symptoms because of those things. It's all a whole, holistic medicine, holistic health. So good sleep. And then finally, you need to lower body fat, and that's really for either gender. So in men, when you have increased levels of body fat, and also in women, you are manufacturing and secreting higher levels of estrogen. And as I said earlier, in the case of beer, beer increases higher levels of estrogen within your body. That is counter to what you're trying to accomplish as far as increasing testosterone levels, and so too if you have higher levels of body fat. Now, men should have 18 at maximum 22% body fat, and really between 18 and 20%, so in the teens, staying in the teens of body fat is extremely beneficial. In fact, that is the healthy level for men. For women, it needs to be higher. You actually need to have a higher body fat content in order to have balanced hormones, female hormones. And so anywhere between 22, 24 to 30% is a good, healthy body fat percentage for women. So those are the 9 ways to improve your testosterone, and really, the secret is any hormone and even overall health. Those are the 9 ways to improve your testosterone level. So once again, I ask you, if you have found this video helpful and the information therein, to please like it, share it with friends and family. That will be doing us a huge service, as I hope that you have found this information to be as well. If you're interested in learning more about how we can help you, then I recommend an initial consultation. You can always call our office or email us at frontdesk@wholefoodcure.com. That's not H-O-L-E, that's W-H-O-L-E, foodcure.com, and we can set you up with an initial consultation to see if we can help you or not. Once again, my name is Leprin Ellen. Thank you very much for tuning in this afternoon, and this is a video broadcast from the Natural Health Clinic. Have a great afternoon.